The winner of this race and will return to the White House as this country's 47th president.
I'm sorry. No.
The 2024 United States presidential election was one of the most divisive elections in modern history. After Kamala Harris' defeat to the now elected 47th President Donald Trump, we have seen what can only be described as some of the most insane meltdowns on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch, with other various media outlets. As you can imagine, some of this has spilled over into the gaming world, from developers and content creators being totally upset and acting like children online over the outcome of the election. Hello, my name is Shane Gamez. I talk about stuff that people get mad about. And if you're new to the channel, please make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. And for my returning viewers, welcome back and get ready to be disappointed. Now, it would be impossible to cover all the mental breakdowns, but we can focus on a few and possibly think about what's next in the gaming world and content creation. But let's make one thing clear right now. Donald Trump won the popular vote. Donald Trump won the Electoral College. Donald Trump won the Senate. Donald Trump was able to hang on to the House. Donald Trump won all 7 battleground states. And Donald Trump flipped the most districts. Donald Trump is without any doubt the 47th United States president. He won fair and square, and with this historic comeback victory, has essentially put the entire woke, DEI, and left ideas in the minority category, proving that America is rejecting this push for a far more left, liberal America. We don't just see this in American culture, but in the gaming world as well. Woke games are failing, the most recent being Dragon Age Veilguard, the game that never peaked above 90,000 players on Steam charts, and now, according to many, is being mass refunded, as players are either not buying it or just not enjoying it, and therefore want their money back. With an insider leaking, and I quote, "In total, what I'm told is that the Veilguard may have sold overall in the 500,000 range. Keep in mind, the rumor is Star Wars Outlaws, another woke game, is rumored to have sold around 800,000 to 1 million copies, and is still considered a commercial failure. So it's no surprise that Donald Trump was able to move an entire nation, because the American people of all ages are fed up with the left and corrupt ideas about equality. After the election, developers, content creators, movie insiders, and countless others would take to Twitter to make posts like BioWare's Mass Effect novel writer Casey Alexander. She writes, "I'm trying hard to restrain the vicious need to lash out at other people. I'm too furious, too spiteful, too exhausted, too flattened, too scared, and yet I am incandescent with a rage that has only this damaged body and mind to house it." I am not sure what she's scared of, as Trump has been president before and no one was hurt. Maybe some feelings, but overall, America did much better. Joel Aron, a creative director over at Lucasfilm, posted on a now deleted tweet, reposting and commented on a tweet made by a Twitter group called Republican Voters Against Trump, a group who claims to be Republican. However, they only celebrate when a Democrat wins, and it's more than likely a failed political tool installed from the left. Aron, again the creative director of Star Wars, would put "F this disgusting scrotum skin sack" and all who support him, telling at the time of this video of almost 75 million people to go F themselves. However, we can't really be surprised, considering the type of content we got out of Disney Star Wars in the form of The Acolyte, one of the absolute worst shows, let alone the worst Star Wars show ever made. A show that had no real understanding of storytelling, character development, and respect for the fandom. A show that did so bad it competes with the least viewed Star Wars show in the company, which makes sense. audience. Aron and Disney is so out of touch. They made a show that focused more on sexual experiences than understanding who blew up the Death Star.
But if you can't look and see the Anakin blowing up the Death Star,
something that the left seems to be so focused on, something that's taking over to the point where people seem to be indoctrinated. They can't determine what a man or a woman is.
I believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is.
And if you have any opinions other than their own, you're a bigot, homophobe, and misogynist. He deleted the tweet after Gina Carraro reposted it. I'm sure Disney will enjoy that one, as Gina uses this as proof of her wrongful, politically motivated firing at Disney. Game Insider and former Blizzard developer Grummz would take to Twitter to post a leaked screenshot from a Slack conversation at Blizzard Entertainment, speaking about the results of the election. The tweet was showcasing the utter meltdown of Blizzard HQ, as they suggest arming themselves and using firearms to defend themselves, with quotes like, "Arm the left, it's making me more violent, but I have never been more tempted to buy a gun." As Grummz puts it, people are crying, panicking, leaving work early. Trans people are talking about buying guns. People are passing out crisis support line numbers. It is complete chaos. My question is when the left doesn't get their way, why is it they always resort to screaming and fatal threats to other people? As I said earlier, America voted, and the overwhelming majority do not agree with them. But as I mentioned earlier, these feelings are being echoed throughout the social media world, with people on social media admitting they are purchasing a firearm so they can hurt white males specifically. Just listened to Katie Page from TikTok in her own words.
I would purchase a Glock, and if you and I are walking on the same street and it's dark out and you're a white male, you have to be white for this to count, okay? If you're a white male, even if you don't approach me, I will shoot you. Yeah, I know.
The insane left first reactions to not only cause fatal injuries to innocent people, but to encourage others to do as well. So you would think that this behavior would be rejected from the left. However, you would be wrong, as official media outlets like Disgrace Channel MSNBC, with a very rational host, Joy Reid, the same woman who believes that white women, specifically uneducated white women, are the ones to blame in this election. Again, the left went from blaming white men to now white women and Latinos. As I said, they don't get their way, so they lash out like children. However, Joy had a medical doctor and mental health expert give advice on how to deal with this rage and anger. Just listen to her advice.
If you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who you know have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why.
Basically, saying do not come to an agreement. Don't even try to talk to your closest friends and your family on why they may have voted the way they did. A mental health expert encouraging someone to disconnect themselves from the people who love them and isolate themselves with their own hate and irrational thoughts, trying to encourage them to be in an echo chamber for this holiday season. The insanity behind this is disgusting, and she should have all medical licenses removed and banned to give any advice to anyone who is struggling with depression and or other mental health problems. So by forcing people to isolate themselves, it's no surprise we have women shaving their heads in protests online, as this is some form of resistance, when in reality, it's like watching children scream on the floor in Walmart when you don't buy them their 17th pack of Pokemon cards. One of the more recent game developers losing their mind is from a game called Caravan Sandwich, a popular game, and one of the developers, in a response to Trump winning the election, election made a post on Twitter telling fans to stay strong, friends, showing a storm as a metaphor of what's to come, i.e., a storm ahead. Well, a user named Dread Roberts would make a tweet responding and saying, "If I ever become a game dev, one thing I'll never do is use my platform to cry about a political candidate winning an election. Unprofessional behavior and a quick way to push customers away." As you can see with other massive failures in the game space who opts into this political messaging, they always end up going broke and or shutting down entirely. Caravan Sandwich would respond with tweets like, "Well, I sure hope you never become a game dev. I don't care what you think being professional is. My friends are losing their rights. This is not a game. Also, obviously, if you voted Trump, you're a piece of poop. Please unfollow and refund the game." As you can imagine, users who played the game and enjoyed it would respond and let Caravan Sandwich know their opinions. And another tweet, Caravan would put, "Y'all make it look like you have some kind of moral high ground because millions of you voted for a R word that actively supports legislation that will off people like me. WTF. It does not matter if you enjoyed the game or not. I don't care." This was a response from a tweet from a user saying, "Actually enjoyed the game, but being a POS over an election is not right. I'll be sure to delete my content and rate the game appropriately now." What amazes me is how the left will immediately tell you to not engage or buy or support them in any way as soon as you show them the slightest opposition to their beliefs. And if we know anything, blaming people, demonizing people, and trying to publicly shame them does not work. This is why Donald Trump is president. But when you have people like Sonny Hostin, a liberal voice and host on The View, displaying how the far left woke people think and act when something doesn't go their way.
People to care about it for years. We need to take some lessons. That's what that was. The lessons are not misogyny.
When presented with the facts that make sense, it's misogyny, it's racism, ignoring the same very people who are trying to tell you the reasons why they like something or vote for something. So it's no surprise that this type of behavior is prevalent among liberals and attack those who don't agree with them. I am sure this can't be good for their cells. Keep in mind, in a post from Caravan Sandwich, they admit to not even living inside the United States. Make no mistake, this is pushback against the left and the woke agenda. The infighting among the left has been incredible. Games that have insane bloated budgets like Spider-Man, Alan Wake, and Star Wars. Spider-Man, with a $315 million budget, only became profitable after 8 million copies sold. To Alan Wake, despite selling 1 million copies, still isn't profitable. Or Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft's biggest budget game ever, who dropped millions and millions on advertising like flying content creators out to spend an entire day at Disney World and letting them go whale watching in hopes of getting a good review, all to have it bomb and change their creative director, pull their game off the Ubisoft store, and now release it on Steam, a trend we see in current politics. Kamala Harris was the first candidate to raise $1 billion, outspending and outraising Donald Trump by 5-1. Now, the Harris campaign is $20 million in debt, a campaign that ran for about 107 days, raised $1 billion, and managed to get $20 million into debt. That's about $9 million a day. But much like the game devs, they spend most of their money on advertising and celebrity endorsements and useless concerts as a way to convince the American people to vote for her. They fluff their numbers and attempt to make them seem bigger than they actually are, a tactic we see in the game world. However, if the game isn't good and the candidate and policies you push isn't either, people just won't come out. People won't buy, and people won't vote because the left isn't listening. Like game studios, we tell them we don't want pronouns or political messaging. We don't want DEI and woke ideas, but they ignore us, and then they are blindsided when we don't show up. I mean, even big content creators who were paid and shilled out are experiencing the fallout on historic levels. Take David Pakman, a channel dedicated to promoting and pushing woke ideas and liberal policies. Notice after the delusional videos and disconnected takes are experiencing a mass exodus. As he says in the video, they investigated and they see paid memberships being canceled at record highs. And not just his channel, but all liberal channels as a whole across all platforms are being canceled at record highs. Well, of course, this is happening. Again, we see this everywhere. People are checking out, people are done, and people want something better. They are tired of being lied to. They are tired of being taken advantage of. You take their money, time, and provide them with false hopes. Just like the games, we tell you what we want. We just want a game, and they ignore us and call us bigots. And like politics, we tell them we just want to buy eggs, gas, and maybe a house. But they ignore us. Instead, yell at people when they have an opinion that the majority of Americans and people around the world share, such as men and female sports. This type of rhetoric isn't helping. It's not progressing their movement. It seems they still don't get the picture on why this way of thinking is failing and why games that support this mindset is crumbling. Having people on Twitter pretend that Donald Trump will put them in concentration camps and he's going to become a dictator is exactly why now the only people on the liberal side of the aisle are those on the far, far left, sitting in their own echo chamber. And as the money is now drying up and the agenda didn't work, they will play the blame game till the very last penny is all dried up, even blaming Taylor Swift for not doing enough.
I really wish Taylor Swift had done an event with Vice President Harris.
As if Taylor Swift, a billionaire, would be able to speak to the 3 to 11 p.m. $8 an hour Walmart employee who just slung pallets and got yelled at by customers for 9 hours on what it means to struggle in today's economy. They are so disconnected from reality. People like Joy Reid thinks the messaging and the campaign was flawless and couldn't believe people wouldn't vote for Kamala, saying they got Queen Latifah as she never endorses anyone.
Flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone.
As somehow my financial well-being, my political mindset is purely based off of Hollywood celebrities. But because these woke DEI believers are so delusional, they can't seem to listen or accept why people vote the way they do and why gamers don't like the games these devs are making. I believe that we're going to see a really hard push from these developers and studios to make a statement, to stick it to us by making games more woke, more DEI, as a way to protest. But I believe that they will start to see these companies dismantle and remove these DEI groups and ultimately sunset this push to be woke and return to a more normal state of gaming, with reports like Black Myth Wukong, a non-political game carrying the weight of the failed DEI game of Concord. Companies are going to start embracing games with no messaging, no censorship, and a return back to the average gamer. What do you guys think? You believe this is the end of DEI and the woke propaganda in gaming? Or are we just going to get an insane push to shove it down our throats? Let me know down in the comments below. I love listening to you guys and hearing from each and every one of you. Please stop by my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/D2Games. The link is in the description down below. Stop by and let me know how you feel. I would love to talk to each and every one of you. Stay awesome. Have a beautiful night. And I'll see you guys in the next one.